Alright, good morning. Alright, good morning. I'm Megan. This is JoyThriveGlow. I'm just gonna sip some coffee for a little bit. This is my first time ever going live on Twitch. Yesterday I did a little dress rehearsal by recording me basically doing something like this. But I just put it on YouTube and shared it with some friends and family. But this is my first time actually being live. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I just want to create a cozy, safe place to cozy place to just relax and wake up and be creative. Enjoy some coffee. Oh, as you might see, I do have my special Star Wars Baby Yoda mug today. And I do have my co-host here, handmade Baby Yoda. So, yeah, he's gonna keep me company today because I'm super excited about Mandalorian episode that is released today. I have to wait till later today after work so my boyfriend and I can watch it. Pretty excited about it though. Alright, so today I have a few things I'm probably going to work on as inspiration strikes. But let me switch cameras real quick. There we go. Okay, cool. Alright, so the first thing I want to work on today is this little Afghan blanket. So, it is pretty thick yarn, I think you can tell. And it's going to be pretty heavy. What yarn is this, by the way? I forget. I started this a long time ago. Yeah, over a year ago. And let's see what yarn is it. It's a Lion brand, Wool Ease, Thick and Quick. Here we go. Yeah. So that's the yarn I'm using. I don't have a whole lot of it left right now, so I'll need to buy a bunch more before this is ever finished. So it'll probably just be an ongoing project that I'll spend money on it as I'm inspired to. I kind of like the gray colors right now, so that will probably be what I stick with for it. Just something nice and basic. There'll probably be a border that I put around it. And right now it's super simple. The stitch that I'm using, it's just a single stitch, but I'm like skipping every other. So I'm doing a single stitch, chain one, and then crochet, and then the single stitch into the chain one of the row below it. So I'm just making sure that they're, I don't put like a single stitch on top of a single stitch. So yeah. And then a little bit later I'll probably be knitting. I have this scarf that I've been working on even longer than this blanket, so probably a couple years at this point. So I have this scarf that has been on these needles for a couple years now. And I just want it to be done. I really like this yarn, and I love all the colors in it. But knitting just does not come as naturally to me as crochet does. So it just takes forever. Yeah. I have so many works in progress right now. At some point, I might do this on stream. Not today. I definitely won't do it today. I gotta see what all I have. But I'm actually making another one of him. So this is what I have so far. Right here. Yeah. So I have an ear started. Well, I have one ear finished already. Let me find the right camera angle. Yeah, and then I have the second ear started. There we go. But as you can see, I still got a few rows left to do on ear number 2. And then I gotta get his little legs and stuff, but he's probably mostly done. I mean, his little arms. He's actually quite a bit further along than I think than I remembered. I did do his eyes a little bit differently than the pattern. Instead of, it suggested putting brown felt around here, but I've just whip stitched. I don't know. Try to embroider some brown yarn around there. So which worked out a lot better than this guy, because this guy here, his eyes are the one thing about him I wish I could change, but because I didn't have big enough eyes when I made him, so I kind of try to make them bigger, like look bigger, by doing the black around there, and then I kind of like crocheted a circle with the brown, and then like try to sew it in. Whereas with this guy, I embroidered the yarn right into it instead of like making it an additional, circle. So anyways, so sometime I'll want to work on him some more. It's just reading a pattern is always, I know, going to be a little bit harder to do on stream. But until I actually get some viewers and chat, it might be a little bit easier to actually focus on a pattern. Because I love the finished products of crocheted animals and things, but I don't enjoy the process nearly as much as I do something like a blanket or a hat. Hats are my favorite to do. So this is one of my most recent hat creations. So anyways, alright, let me sip a little bit more coffee, and then I'm gonna start a few stitches, because I have, let's see what time it is. It's almost 7 my time. I am on Eastern time in the US. Yeah, so I have like hour or more that I can just enjoy here. You know what, let me check some things real quick. Make sure that everything's going okay. Yeah, looks like we're doing good. Perfect. Alright. Okay. So, let's get started on this blanket. So like I said, I don't have a whole lot of this yarn left, so I'll probably work on this for a little bit until I run out of this light gray. And then I will likely switch over to my knitting project. And let me get untangled here. Gotta get my headset out of the way. Get baby Yoda over here positioned. And there we go. All right. So yes. Yeah, so like I said, this is my very first time streaming on Twitch. Well, streaming in general. Well, okay, let me say, streaming myself. So I learned about, I first learned about Twitch in the whole idea of streaming games and streaming just anything kind of about a year ago. My boyfriend got me into World of Warcraft when Classic was released last fall, so I started playing that game for the first time around then, and I really enjoyed it, but it's such a learning curve for sure. So I consumed all of the YouTube content I could to learn about the game, which then of course naturally led me to content creators that were making videos and things on YouTube to play World of Warcraft. So I started following a few streamers back then, And then, back in March, when the world changed quite drastically and quite quickly, I ended up deciding to research the logistics of streaming, how you do it, like what equipment you need, which software you need for it, all that stuff, for work. So I work in a nonprofit that has programs for families. And luckily we were structured in such a way that we are able to do most of our work remotely and virtually, which is fantastic. So we're able to still service families and meet with them and help them out and, teach them by using technology, which is awesome, which is something that was not possible when I started at this place almost 9 years ago. So I ended up realizing that we could probably utilize as an organization streaming as a platform to just communicate with people, especially it ends up communicating with our donors. Just that, hey, we're here, we're still moving along, we're still functioning, we're still serving families. So I learned all the stuff about using OBS, about how to make streams look pretty. And so then in April at work, we launched a weekly live stream, kind of more like a talk show, where our executive director and the director of development, where they kind of just give a weekly update about our organization and what all we're doing, kind of reminding people that, hey, we had to cancel some fundraisers because we can't meet in person anymore, but we're still here. And we've, I'm sorry, I'm saying a lot. But my executive director, my boss, she's been interviewing people from the community, people that some of them have information that's relevant specifically to our clients and parents, because we focus mostly on families with young children. So she's been interviewing like teachers and I don't know, potential people that are donors for us and things like that. So anyways, so what I'm trying to say is that I started learning about the logistics of streaming back in March and April, and I've been following streamers and watching Twitch since last fall. And I'm like, that's something that I want to do. It looks like something that I would enjoy doing. Just sharing things that I'm passionate about. So right now I'm able to share my passion for creating things. I'm so sorry. This is probably driving people nuts that I have this yarn that's not in a ball and it's all tangled. It's not super tangled though, but I should probably just make sure it's not going to become super tangled. So let's maneuver this a little bit. These yarn balls, you just crochet them so quickly. I just never see the point of putting them in a ball when I know they're just going to be done. Like, I'm going to be done crocheting them. And yeah. So anyways, I have this idea that I want to be able to share things that I'm passionate about. Whether that's crafting, whether that's games, whether, I don't know, just sitting and connecting with people, especially during this time. I think it's, it's just it's even more important now to make sure that you are connecting with people and that you don't feel alone. So if you can, if sitting watching someone crochet and just listening to them ramble can bring you a little bit of joy and help you not feel alone, then I want to be there for you. Because I spend so many hours a week just, even if I'm not just sitting and watching or doing, just listening to people play games that they love. So the one streamer I follow, who plays World of Warcraft, she streams 2 hours a day, and she's not doing any like hardcore gameplay. She's just collecting things, trying to get new mounts, and she's just talking about her life. So, and basically the game just becomes an excuse for her to, in a good way, it becomes a catalyst to create a community. So the actual gameplay isn't important. Like, yes, it gives us something to connect over and topics of conversation. But that, the important part is that we're all there, and, we get that sense of connection. To be reminded that you're not the only one who loves to do this thing. Yeah. But yeah, I'm so glad that it's Friday. Oh, hi. How do you say your name? Is that Chink? What am I making today? I am making a blanket. So at least that's what I'm working on right now. So it's just a little Afghan. This is what I have so far. So it's basically just long enough to fit over my lap. And yeah, so I'm using this, let me show you the yarn I'm using. It's super thick yarn. It's called I think it's Lion Brand Thick and Quick. So it's a wool blend. So it's a really, really thick Shinko. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by today. So, do you like to crochet or knit or anything like that? Thank you so much. Yeah. So this is my very first time streaming on Twitch. I'm glad that you can stop by. But yeah, I really like to make blankets. My other thing I like to make are hats. So is there anything you like to make in particular? Ah, yes, thank you. Yeah, it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. Because I've been watching streams for about a year, and earlier this year with the pandemic, I had to learn to do live broadcast and stream for work. So I work in a nonprofit, and my boss wanted to put together this little talk show for people. But this is my first time on here. Yes, I learned to crochet a long time ago as well. I think my mom taught me the basics of crochet when I was like 5. Something like that. She taught me like the basics of like hand sewing and crochet back when I was like 5. I think my first project was like, I was super excited because I made like a snake. So she's like, yeah, just do the stitch and as long as you want it, and then I'll show you how to flip it around and do the second row. And we made a little snake, and I was just so proud of it, but it's like literally 2 lines of, or 2 or 3 rows of single crochet, with, little yarn for the tongue. Oh, well, thank you. Yes, I definitely want this to be a cozy, comfy place. Somewhere to, I don't know, just a nice, warm place to wake up in the morning before the craziness of the day, especially with everything going on. So you crochet. Do you knit at all? Because that's one thing I'm still learning to do. Because that's the other project that I might work on in a little bit. Let me show you. So I have this scarf started. It's like this. Get my yarn everywhere. So it's grown quite a bit in the last few weeks. But it's been on these needles for like 2 years. I love the texture of knitting, but my brain just does not understand it the way that it understands crochet. I don't know if that's because I just learned crochet first at such a young age, but yeah, knitting just, I don't know, is hard for me. Yeah, so, yeah, no, never touch knitting. I know it's a bit more tasking, you believe, right? Yeah. Yep, it's just, I don't know. Because I feel like with knitting, if you make a mistake, it's so much harder to make sure, I don't know, to try to fix it. And if you miss something, like the whole thing can unravel. Where with crochet, first of all, partially because I understand it more, I know how to fix it, or I can see the mistake more easily, so I know, like, I can take out my, I can just, essentially all you need to do is go like this to undo what you just did, but the whole thing's not going to fall apart. Where with knitting, if I make a mistake, like, I don't know how to fix it. If I were to just pull the yarn out, the whole thing's just going to unravel. And it's just, I don't know, I guess I get like extra anxious and nervous. So I'm pretty sure the scarf that I have, I think I've slowly keep adding stitches here and there, which I guess is better than decreasing stitches. But yeah, luckily I don't think I've dropped any stitches there, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, crochet just makes way more sense to me. But you just can't beat the texture of knitting though sometimes. That's the one thing with crochet that I don't like, is that it takes so much yarn. So things are almost always, a little bit bulkier and things. But I think knitting is a bit faster to do. Well, I guess it depends. So for me, you know what? I think it would really depend. Just, like on the kind of yarn that you're using, and then your skill level. So for me, knitting does not go faster at all. And that, let me just show you. Where'd my other needle go? There it is. Sorry. I'm coming right back. Okay, there we go. So, and it might even be partially because my form's probably awful, and I'm probably holding everything completely wrong. But, so one thing that I like about knitting is the fact that you can use the super thin yarn. and and then it just drapes really well. So I guess in some ways, if I were to compare, so I think I know what you mean. So I guess if I were to use this yarn and if I were to crochet a scarf, it might take longer. It definitely would take a lot more yarn to try to crochet a scarf this wide and everything. Now, because I'm using such thin yarn, knitting, it doesn't grow as quickly. So I feel like it takes a lot longer to see the growth than I would in, say, when I made this hat. But to be fair, the yarn that I use for this, for a hat on like this blanket, is a lot thicker. It's fatter, so it's going to build more quickly. So, but yeah. So it really depends. You probably could get really fast knitting, but it might be right now that I'm like so anxious about it that I just take forever and I have to focus a lot more. Yeah, it's all about perspective on which one's faster. Definitely. But yeah, I might do this in a little bit, but it's been a long time since I've worked on this blanket. Yes, either technique is definitely still beautiful. And I love that there's variety out there. Yeah, and I think I've just kind of accepted that, at least for right now, knitting is something that I don't have to master. And it's okay for me just to appreciate other people's skill, and it's not something that I have to force myself to do, especially because I'm mostly teaching myself how to knit. I think my mom may have been familiar with the basics of knitting, so she may have initially taught me the little that she knew a long time ago, but I think I mostly ended up learning from a book. Am I planning on making anything festive for the holidays? So that is something I've been thinking about. So I want to be making Christmas gifts for my family, especially for my niece and my nephews. I want to make, my sister would like me to make a hat like this, for matching hats for her and my niece. So I'll probably get some, I plan on getting some yarn, some like bright colors, probably purples with probably frozen colors in there as well, some blues and greens, for my sister and my niece to have matching cute hats. So I definitely have Christmas gifts in mind to make, but I am thinking about making myself a like a festive Afghan. So either something with like greens and red in it, or maybe something more winter inspired, so maybe blues and whites for like snow. I will just have to see where inspiration takes me, because this is the first time for the holidays that I've actually have had a place of my own. So I've rented before, but like with family members or with friends. But this is my very first time with just me and my significant other, with my boyfriend. It's the first time having a place that's mine. So I'm pretty excited about actually being able to decorate my little cozy space this year. So I already have a little tree up. Let me see if I can show it to you. I have a tiny little tree back there, just with some mini lights on it. Little mini decorations. So I might make a, yeah, I probably won't make anything for the tree, but I might make myself an Afghan. We'll see. Do you make anything for the holidays? Anything to decorate, or do you like to make gifts at all for the people in your life? Thank you. Yes, I am really excited about the place. Yeah, 2020 has been a really weird year. Yeah, even, there's been, with as many things that have been blah about it, there's still been some bright spots. So being able to actually branch out and get my own place has definitely been one of the bright spots of this year. Yeah. Trying to think. There was some other things. Oh, other things I've thought about making, especially because I like crocheting with cotton, and I love the idea of making like wash rags and things, even though they're so I don't know, it just seems inefficient to make washcloths and things like that. But I've thought about making some sort of towel or like rag to put under my coffee pot that would be like Christmas inspired, holiday inspired. So I'm very out of touch with crocheting, but luckily I can still gift with a basic credit card. Yes, there's always that option as well. Yeah, so I definitely have to make a list of people that I want to make sure that I have a gift for this year, and kind of figure out who I want to actually make things for and who are just gonna get, something purchased. Yeah, because either way is good. But making hats for my niece and nephews and like seeing them in pictures and stuff is just always so cute. When my niece was born, let's think, she's like 6, so about 5 or 6 years ago, for her first Christmas, because she was right about 6 months when her first holiday season, and I made a little hat with like the reindeer horns. Was it reindeer? No. It you know what? Yeah, no, I think it had horns, but it definitely had little ears, and it was super cute. And we have my cousin took some really cute pictures of her that first year. So yeah, I like making hats for the little kids in my life. So, all right, almost done with this one. And then we can flip. Oh, you know what though? I don't know if this yarn is going to be enough for a whole nother row, but we're going to try it. We're going to see. And still, yeah, we should have probably just enough for the one row. And then once this little bit of yarn is done, I might go ahead and switch over to the knitted scarf. There we go. But I need some coffee. Oh, yes, I like to grow out of them at least. But at least they last a lifetime. Yes, yeah, that is the thing, that it fit that couple week period for the holidays, but yeah, that was it. So yeah, so one thing I do need to think about right now, and I was asking my sister what she thought, is if I should adjust this pattern if I make it for my niece at all, or if I should just keep it the regular adult size, because it might be slightly big right now, but especially if I'm using nicer yarn, I don't want it to just only fit her this year. So I have to decide if I'm going to adjust it at all and make it slightly smaller, or if I'll just make both the hats the same size. So she is 6 and she is pretty tall for her age. So I'm kind of thinking that I might just make her hat like a regular adult sized hat in hopes of her being able to wear it longer if she wants. But yeah, that is always a sad thing about making things for babies, is that they don't. It takes so much time to make the cute things, and yeah, there's such a small window of time for them to actually use them. But yeah, that's why you take pictures. That is definitely why you take pictures of the kids and the super cute things that you make them, because they're not going to be able to wear it very long, but those pictures, those super cute pictures, are going to last forever, especially when you frame them. But yeah. Oh yeah, so one project that I just finished, because I've been really inspired lately to kind of go back to all of these projects that I have started, and they're just laying around taking up space, that just need to be finished. They just need a few hours put into them so they can be finished. But yeah, kids are tricky with clothing. But yeah, pictures definitely come in clutch. Definitely. But another project I just finished was a baby blanket. It's just it was one of those really simple, the whole thing's one big giant granny square, using the particular like baby yarn. It was all like bright colors and like pinks and blues and greens. So it's one big granny square, and I started that. Man, I wonder how long did I start that? Like maybe 4 years ago or so? Maybe not that long. I don't know. I started it for probably one of my cousins who was going to have a kid. He's already a few years old at this point. But then I kind of realized that at that rate my cousins were having kids, there's no way I was going to make everyone a blanket, because I wasn't inspired to make that many baby blankets, I think is part of it. So I kind of gave up on the idea of making, because I have a lot of cousins, of making all of their kids blankets. So especially, I don't even think I made my nephews their own blankets. But anyway, so I'd started this baby blanket, and I finally finished it sometime last week. And I may end up gifting it to another cousin who's having a baby soon. But we shall see. But yeah, when you're making those blankets, yeah, they're only being able to be used for a short period of time. But I do remember when I was younger, my mom had made a blanket that I used when I was a baby. That was one of those, it was just a big granny square. It was like pink, white, and blue, alternating stripes. But then I was able, when I got a little bit older, I ended up using that blanket for my dolls. And I thought that was super cool. So the blanket definitely got lots of use out of it from me. It was just not so much to keep me warm, but as I was a baby. But it definitely served its purpose when I was older with my little dolls. It was definitely a favorite of mine, and extra special because my mom had made it. Do you have any like handmade gifts that people gave you at all that are special to you? Oh no, I got a small map. Yeah, that's the best about blankets. They can always be reused or regifted. Yes. Yes. Yeah, you know what? And now that you mention that, that is probably one of the reasons why blankets are one of my favorite things to make. Because even though they definitely take a long time because they're just larger, they'll last a long time. So yeah, I've probably made more blankets than I've made anything else. And yeah, so I made my sisters each a large blanket when they got married. I think I made all of my college roommates, which I had a few, because we all lived in a house together. I made them all blankets, and yeah, so yeah, growing up, one of our favorite blankets that was always in our living room was was an Afghan that my dad's aunt had made for when he graduated high school. So it was a ripple Afghan, and I believe she made one for all of her nephews. Well, at least, so I definitely know she made one for him and his brothers when they graduated high school. And yeah, I believe it still lives on today. So that's one of the things with acrylic yarn, even though it's like kind of plastic, they last forever. Yeah, let's see. I do have a sort of makeshift scramble letter quote board that a friend made me. That was my favorite quote, which was very nice. Oh yeah, that's definitely special. Yeah, gifts that people make you definitely are very special. For sure. Yeah, I definitely treasure the handmade gifts that people have made me. Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, speaking of blankets lasting forever, this blanket right here that I have on my lap, this granny square one, I think is actually, I could be wrong. I probably should ask my dad about it. But this blanket was one of many that was in my grandma's collection in her storage unit when she passed away last year. So I definitely snatched one, but I think it was likely made by my dad's aunt, the same one that made the ripple Afghan for him that we had growing up. But it's just so classic. So I definitely want to make something like this someday. So I don't know, like I wasn't always a huge fan of the brown with all the colors. But it just has such a classic look that I don't know. But yeah, blankets, they'll last a long time. I think they're definitely worth the energy that you put into them, the time and energy you put into them. Oh, and we're almost done with this row. I think we're going to have enough yarn for it. Perfect. But I definitely need to look into picking up for a few more skeins of this yarn if I'm ever gonna finish it. There we go, let's get to the end. Alright. Alright. I think that's good on this project for right now. Still have a little bit left, but I'll tie that off and switch over to the other color later. There we go. Oh, that's touching, but yeah, old-fashioned patches are tradition. Yes. Yes, they are definitely a tradition. I have started a granny square blanket, but instead of the small patches like this, they're probably, so I think they're more like the equivalent of like 4 of these patches. Yeah, more like this big per, well, which camera? We'll go with this one. Probably about that big for each square. Because I've made one before for a friend. And making the actual squares is fine, especially because like you just get in a groove and becomes pretty easy to do. Let's find this yarn. There we go. But you gotta sew them all together, and that can feel more tedious because there's not a rhythm as much as a there's not as much of a rhythm in tying the little squares together. So, oh, and I see that you followed me. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that, but thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. But yeah, I love the look of the square blankets, but the actual putting them together is not my favorite. Okay, let me make sure I get my camera situated here. Alright, I might adjust this slightly. There we go. So I have these on some pretty long needles. And so yeah, there we go. Okay, so now we are on to the scarf. So this scarf, like I said, I picked up this yarn because I really like the look of it a couple years ago. Probably like 2 Februaries ago. Yes, always support the new streamers. Well, thank you so much. But this yarn is, let me show you in case you're interested, is Mandala. So this is also Line Brand. I have a bunch of Line Brand yarn. Is Mandala. There we go. Ugh. Learn the camera angle. There we go. And it has these stripes in it naturally. So all these different colors. And I'm a huge fan of that. If the yarn will change colors for me, so I don't have to worry about tying the different colors together, and I can just get in my groove and it just naturally looks beautiful, I am all for that. So that's one thing that I really like about this yarn. Yes, multicolored, very groovy. It definitely is. So the ironic thing, of course, is going to be that by the time I ever finish this, well, yeah, I might actually finish it, is that these colors might not be in style anymore. But that's just how it goes. It's okay. We will still appreciate it. I definitely like, oh, yep, see, this is what knitting. I didn't get that yarn all the way over. There you go, got this. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of like the yellow in here, of the mustard yellow. But I absolutely love like the turquoise and this like green color. And I definitely like the browns and the darker blue. And, you know, the mustard yellow, it helps all the other colors look good anyway, so we'll put up with it. It's okay. Let me do a few stitches here, and I need another sip of coffee. Need some more caffeine. Here we go. But I do have started, and it's basically done. I did make, I did crochet this hat to go along with it. So maybe I can show that one. There we go. So, so it's naturally striping there. It's a little tight, but I think it will loosen up. I used the same pattern as I did with this one. But since this yarn is thinner, it ends up looking a little different. I don't know if I like it quite as much. So I still have that whole other skein left of this yarn. So I might experiment with some other shape of hat to go along with the scarf. Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. We'll have to see. Cause I had yeah, might as well make some gloves and have a crochet complete set. That is a thought. That is a thought. I will definitely have to see what kind of patterns are out there to make gloves or mittens with the with this smaller yarn. I think I've only made one, well, maybe two pairs, but I think only one that actually got fully finished pair of gloves, and they had like where you can flip over the part that goes on your fingers so you could use your phone and stuff. But that was using some thicker like wool yarn so that they went really quickly. But I do wonder if maybe that would be something that wouldn't be too difficult for me to kind of branch out and maybe knit some gloves or something. I don't know. We'll see. One thing that it probably wouldn't be that difficult to make one that was mostly more like hand warmers, so not actually worrying about covering the fingers at all. That might not be too big of a jump when it comes to technique and skill if I wanted to knit it, but we shall see. But yeah, I still have a nice chunk of this yarn left, so this scarf's gonna be pretty long, I think, but I'm pretty excited about it. I still haven't decided if it's something that I want to keep or if I should gift it to somebody. I don't know, because I don't remember what I was thinking when I bought the yarn, if I thought that maybe I would wear it, or if I had someone in mind to give it to, or if I didn't care and I just liked the colors and I just bought it anyways. It's so long ago, I don't know. But since I bought it, I have also bought a new coat, and it does not really go with my new coat. It's like a, depending on the light, it's like a red or like a bright like raspberry pink color, which I really like. And these colors won't go with my coat very well. The hat that I showed you with the pom-pom on it, this hat goes okay with my coat because there is a little bit, let me see if I can show you. There is a little bit of this red color, this like fiery red. So it will coordinate with my coat okay. And I like it because green's one of my favorite colors, so there's some green in here too. And so it goes fine with my coat. But these colors, especially honestly, it's probably more the mustard yellow, I don't think will go well with my coat. But I don't know. We'll find a use for this scarf. Right now, I'm definitely thinking of it more as a practice tool. So yeah, something to make me finally feel like I've conquered the basic knitting technique. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely don't want to look too closely at this scarf because I'm sure there's so many little imperfections that anyone who knows anything really about knitting would probably be like, oh, you did this wrong here, or this looks weird because you did this thing. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I did. I'm just excited that it's not gonna fall apart. Yeah. That's all that I care about. I should get out the book that I have. Because I have a book that has like basic knitting techniques to it. Let's see. Oh, A Lot of the Fourth Doctor scarf from Doctor. Yes. Yeah, you know what? And honestly, that might be part of the reason why I went ahead and got it. Because that scarf, I definitely would not mind making that scarf someday. Even though I have not watched many episodes at all with the Fourth Doctor. But I definitely love Doctor Who. So you can't see it at all. But this sign behind me, this blue one, is, it has the TARDIS at the top, but you can't see it. But it says, "We're all stories in the end, just make it a good one," which is the 11th Doctor quote. And because the 11th Doctor was my first Doctor, so he's obviously my favorite. But I love Matt Smith and David Tennant. They're my favorite Doctors. But I definitely have they're definitely all great. So, yeah. But I've definitely spent time on different blogs looking at people's different techniques to make the Fourth Doctor scarf. And I would have to decide, if I were to ever do that, how authentic I would want it to be. If I would just want it to be something like a version of it that actually is functional, or would I want to make it more like a replica of it? Yeah, that's someday I might get into that. The quote I was talking about earlier is actually a quote from the 11th Doctor. Nice. Yes. Very cool. Yeah. Matt Smith is definitely fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. So let's see. So when did you get into Doctor Who? Like, what season was it? Was it like earlier on, or was it since the new ones? I got into it. I think, like I mentioned, Matt Smith was my first Doctor. My best friend from college, her and her husband, they got me into it right as his first season was ending, and so then before his second season started. So the first episode they showed me was at the time it was like a standalone episode, because they wanted to try to find an episode that I could enjoy where I didn't need to know a whole lot of the major story arcs going through that first season. So the first season episode they showed me of Doctor Who was The Lodger. That had what's his name? I should know his name. He has his own show, James Corden. So it was his first episode he was in. That was the first one that they showed me. And like many things that my friends tell me about, whenever they go, "Oh, we really like this thing and you need to watch it or you need to read it, or whatever, you need to listen to it because you're going to love it." Basically, at that moment, I already love it. Like I may not have even heard it or know what it's about or read the book or seen the show, but just because they love it and they say that I'm going to, I know that I'm going to love it. And Doctor Who is definitely one of those things. They told me the concept of it, and I'm like, oh, that's something that I know I'll like. I actually started with the 9th Doctor, and I got emotionally attached with the characters, and from then on out, it's been my favorite show. Yes. Yeah. I ended up, so once they showed me the show, and I think I probably watched a couple episodes with them that weekend that I was with them. You know what, and this is before streaming was like very much an official thing, and that before it was easy to find shows on the internet. Oh no, my other camera. Oh no, it disconnected. Hang on just a second. And I think my music stopped too. Did my internet go out? Okay, it's back. I think we're good. Alright, we got the music, camera's working. Okay, there you go. Everything's good again. So I ended up watching as it was airing. How did I watch it when it was airing? I think I could find them on the internet at the time. The second season that Matt Smith had. So I was watching that live, and then I was very grateful that I had a friend, even though like we weren't like super close friends, we're just like kindred-hearted nerd friends. Like I was, anyways, he ended up having all of the DVD sets for all of the seasons up to then, or like most of them. So he would lend me like seasons at a time of the show, which was awesome because the only way you could really find the old seasons at that time, especially in like the US, was to like bootleg stream really low quality episodes of the show. So I went back and then started from the Ninth Doctor until like I eventually caught up to where I was and whatever, in Matt Smith's season. So so it was definitely interesting having like the two like versions of the timeline like going on as I was learning about the show. But yeah, Chris Eccleston definitely was a great Doctor. But I definitely have a soft spot for Matt Smith. Yes, it is the best. It is. So I'm curious, how much of the more recent seasons have you watched with Jodie Whittaker? Because I have mixed feelings. I definitely love the show because I'm one of those people where once I'm attached to it, I'm gonna love it forever unless like something super awful happens to it, and I'm basically going to enjoy it regardless. But I'm always curious about what people think of like some of the differences in the more recent seasons and like the different like feel it has to it, because I definitely love Jodie as the Doctor, and I think she does a fantastic job. One thing I do wish they had done more with her first season is I really love when there are at least a couple episodes that like when a story arc takes a couple episodes. I don't enjoy it as much when every episode of the season is a one-off, and they're not, when there's not like a cliffhanger. I know that they also took that to an extreme with let me think. Yeah, so she's the 13th. So the 12th Doctor. What's his name? I know his name. If I wasn't streaming right now, I would totally know his name. Anyways, with his he had one season where every episode was like a two-parter, and that was almost a little too much. I'm rewatching all of the show right now, actually, trying to catch up to her, but I've watched 2 episodes with her and I enjoyed. But it's definitely something new and different. Yes. Yeah. So one thing I definitely like about her, that first season, I do like a lot of the themes that the episodes were dealing with. If anything, I haven't watched a whole lot of Classic Who, but I kind of feel like maybe that season might be more reminiscent of the classic episodes. I could be wrong. It definitely, um, it definitely brings up a lot of topics and a lot of themes for you to think about and to ponder and to, think about and to talk about. So definitely some good conversation starters there. And I think sometimes people, I don't know if people, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with this, but sometimes it feels like a bit more like in the face, like a slap in the face of like, hey, you should be thinking about this topic and be thinking about real life and how this applies. Like sometimes it's it's like super obvious that people are trying to make a point with the show. Yeah, the first season was trying to reminisce the classic, but especially with the multiple companions. Yes, definitely. Yeah, with having the big group. I appreciated that a lot, actually. I like that feeling. It's definitely one thing I like that they did with it, because especially with 9, 10, and 11 mostly having like their one prominent like female companion. They would have like a few other people put in there, like Matt Smith had both Amy and Rory, but having like a larger family feel to it and not just like one or two people that you're traveling with. I enjoyed that a lot, and especially with the wider age range, which is definitely more reminiscent of older episodes. But yeah, so some of the themes that they bring up in Jodie's like more recent seasons, sometimes like I think people wish that they could just live in their bubble and not have to think critically about the world. But that's one of the things that science fiction has like traditionally been used for, is to kind of give you like a filter to like analyze what's currently happening. So yeah, but no, I definitely need to go back and rewatch her seasons now. But yeah, I think you mentioned you're not caught up on the most recent one. I definitely need to rewatch the more recent ones, especially the last few episodes, because I don't know, they didn't keep my attention as well. I don't know if that's because of other stuff going on with my life, if I was like super stressed, but or when I was trying to watch them. But it was like one of the first times like I actually would struggle to stay awake. I think I was just watching them too late at night, but I definitely need to rewatch this more recent season. Yes, I love the multiple life lessons the show gives. Definitely. But yeah, that's definitely one reason I love science fiction overall as a genre, with like movies and with books. Not that I've read a whole lot of books, well, like science fiction in particular. I've read quite a bit, but we have one of my favorite genres, and I discovered this in college when I took a class called Utopian Literature and Thought. Is I realized in that class that I actually really like the dystopian genre when it comes to books, and then also like when it comes to movies. I think I do really like how it makes you think about life and like what's currently going on, and when you read science fiction from the past, like what it's saying about the time period that it was written in and things. So yeah, it's just very interesting. Being a history major, I kind of like when I don't know. I just like when to learn about history and what people at the time thought about the times that they were living in. Yeah. You know what? I need to check the time real quick. So So like Oryx and Crake, you know what? I'm not very familiar with that. Is that a book series, or is that, I'm not familiar with that. So if it's dystopian at all, like I've definitely read, like the classics like 1984, Brave New World, those kinds of things, like the very, very classic ones. But I'm not familiar with Oryx and Crake. Oh, yeah, what time is it? Okay, I have a few more minutes, but then I have about 15 minutes before I need to transition to my work from home setup. It's a book series of dystopian society. It's great. Ooh. I'll have to look into that. Especially because right now most of the books I'm consuming end up being through Audible. So I'll have to look up and see if that's something that maybe I can get in Audible. Because I'm always up for new suggestions. Oh, although the next, I know I'm listening to a book right now. What book did I get? But the book I'm excited that's going to be released, I think my friend said it's going to be released next week, is the sequel to Ready Player One. So I think it's like Ready Player 2 is coming out. Ooh, I have not read that one. Have you read Fahrenheit 451? I have not. I know that that's like a super classic one that I definitely should have read. But maybe I'll move that one higher up on my list to read. But I'm definitely excited for Ready Player 2. So, because Ready Player 1, the book is definitely great. The movie was okay, but there's a lot of cultural references that, copyrights didn't permit them from utilizing. So the book is just much more of a rich place I just like the book more. Oh yes, I've heard about Ready Player 2. Can't wait. Yes. You have a friend who's a librarian, and she reminded me yesterday that it's coming out soon, because I think she was ordering the new one for her library to have. And definitely pretty excited about it. It was interesting with Ready Player One, where I understood a lot of references as I was reading it, but since my first experience with that book, I have since then learned more about Dungeons and Dragons. I've since then actually played like World of Warcraft and gotten into a little bit to video games on the internet, so MMORPGs. So I understand a lot more of the references of Ready Player One after learning about those things. And yes, 451 I think is a great classic book. The films were awful adaptations, but what can you do? Yeah, sometimes it's really hard to fully capture the concepts of books and make them good movies. Because especially if they don't have like the narrator there to kind of like guide you and like pull references for you and things like that. Sometimes it can be really hard to make books into a visual medium. But yeah, that happens quite a bit. So that's why sometimes it definitely ends up being better if the movie just flat out says that they're trying to create something in the universe of this book, or it's inspired by this book, instead of getting people's hopes up and saying that we are adapting this book for sure. I think the that did very great justice to books were the Hunger Games series and Harry Potter series. Yes, I definitely would agree with that. Definitely. Yeah, well, watching the Hunger Game movies, while there are obviously going to be times like where you're like, oh, well, that happened a little bit different in the book, but there was definitely not that many times at all where you're like, this is drastically different and this is not how it happened. There definitely was very faithful to it. Yeah, same with Harry Potter. So honestly, Harry Potter, I've mostly read the books. I don't think I ever got around to finishing the fourth book, just because of the way my childhood and my reading life worked out with Harry Potter. But yeah, but that's also the beauty of studios fully embracing the idea of it, having money that they can invest in it, and then being able to hire people who really love the series, and love the source material. But yeah, Harry Potter. I've not officially read all of the books because I never finished the fourth one because I watched the movies all in a weird order and the books and read them in a weird order. But I eventually got the whole story. Yeah, because I didn't really have access to the books as I was growing up. But yeah, they definitely do. They definitely became pretty good movies, for sure. There you go. You know what? And I think I'm going to finish this row. I might be able to do another one before I start the rest of my day. Yeah, so one thing, again, that's been weird with 2020 is that although it's kind of sad that I can't be in the office and that my job, I don't know, that the world has changed, I definitely don't mind working from home. And I'm actually kind of glad that it's something that I've been able to transition to do. So right now, they want me to come to the office like twice a week right now, which means the other 3 days I get to work from home, which is why I decided this would be a good time for me to start streaming in the mornings. Oh, so what would you say is your favorite movie or TV show genre? My favorite. Let's think about this. I think overall, because I'm pretty into Star Wars. So, but I also like, it's hard for me to choose just like one thing. And so like if I were to say science fiction, that would be somewhat true, but I'm like very like particular to like, okay, yes, I like science fiction quite a bit, and I know that I appreciate it, but when it boils down to it, I know Star Wars. And as much as I know Star Wars and I've, read some of the books, I'm definitely not as much into it as I know a lot of people are. So like watching The Mandalorian, my boyfriend will point out some things. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that, and I know a lot about Star Wars. Yeah, honestly, same. Yeah, so yeah, so I like that, but also when it comes to books, I really like Jane Austen. So if I'm gonna think about, but you weren't even talking about books, so movies and TV show genres. Yeah, so let me think what I have. Things that I actually like enough to purchase, which I think would mean that it's probably one of my favorites, is I definitely will purchase Doctor Who. In the past, especially in college, I liked The Office quite a bit, especially watching it with my roommates. But at this point, yeah, like Star Wars and like Doctor Who would be my favorites. Yeah, that's all you need to know. Yes. Yep, I like Star Wars, which is why I got my Yoda. The child. He's not Yoda. I understand why they want to make sure that this little character is labeled the child and not Baby Yoda, because some people will get confused and think that it is literally a baby version of Yoda, and it's not. The Office is a classic. Yes, it is. Yeah, I think I have the first 4 seasons on DVD because, like I mentioned earlier, when it first came out, streaming was a lot more difficult and internet wasn't nearly as great. So while it did a lot of things, it did not stream all that well. Netflix was mostly a DVD service at that point in college. So, yeah. But yeah, I have since realized though that comedies are something that I don't enjoy as much by myself. So The Office is different, at least those first few seasons, because at this point I have them memorized. But when it comes to watching new things, so like Parks and Rec, I didn't really get into it until later, till it was about ending, when I moved back in with my best friend from college and her husband. So, I cannot wait till Ahsoka Tano premieres on the show. Oh no! She might be on today. So I can't wait till later. It kills me that the episode is available on Disney Plus right now, and I have not watched it. I'll have to wait 8 or 9 more hours, maybe 10, before I can watch it. So, well, let me think. 8, 9. I'll probably, I think last week, as soon as it was 5 o'clock and I could know that I won't have to be answering phones for work or whatever, we had the show up and running. So, yeah. I'm definitely excited to see a live action adaptation of her. Should be pretty awesome. For sure. Yeah, because it's only been the last year or so where I went back and watched the Clone Wars. And even then, I don't think I've seen all of it. And I can't say that I fully paid attention to all of them. But I did just finish. I at least watched the last season of the Clone Wars. So I did watch that. And I just watched that last episode of that the other day on Disney Plus. And I have not yet watched all of Rebels. And I need to check my phone real quick. Okay, nothing super important. Okay, but I will need to be ending the stream soon because I need to get my workspace up. Yeah. So, but yes. Ahsoka. Live action Ahsoka will be very exciting. Definitely. Righty. There we go. So we have some progress coming along on my scarf. When I had picked this project up again a couple months ago, I was only a couple rows into this blue, I think. So not too bad for a couple months worth. To be fair, I've worked on quite a few other projects in between, like hats and finishing blankets and making another scarf. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, so I should go. Thank you so much for joining me today. I definitely enjoyed chatting. I do hope to do this once or twice a week. Yes, thank you. Yes, it is progress. So, yeah, but now that I know that I can do this, hopefully I can continue to create a nice, cozy place. So, I might be able to stream again this weekend, maybe, but if not, hopefully sometime. Well, you know what? Thanksgiving's next week. I was gonna say Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays are days I work from home, so those are the days I want to target streaming. But we'll see how the holiday works this next week. But hopefully I can stream at least once before next Wednesday. So yes, and you have a great day as well, and enjoy whatever you have left for this Friday, and I hope that you enjoy the next episode of The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. All right, you have a great day.